Sasquatch, Sasquatches. Sasquatch, Sasquatches. Got it? Good. What's up, YouTube? Thetagem here with a knife video for Higgins Haven Large. I know you're all torn up inside that I'm done with Packanack, but we'll make the best of it. Besides, there's still the small map to do. Higgins Haven is a lot different than Packanack when it comes to knives, and unfortunately that means we've got some new terminology to learn. Gone are the days of guaranteed knives. That's right, the only two are in the shack. I'm going to make an assumption based on my research from Map A and a few playthroughs from the other maps and say that instead of guaranteed knives, what we have are guaranteed locations. More on that in a bit. Higgins Large has 33 total knife locations, but only 22 knives spawn per map. I'm not sure if there's an exception to this, like there was for Map B on Packanack. I have yet to collect all the info for the other maps. The cabins, and their names, work exactly as we've seen previously. There's a few new names to learn, but I'll still refer to the knives on or in cabins as cabin knives. But the other knife locations, the lampposts, the shacks by the docks, that sort of thing, while being in the same spots on each map, these places are not guaranteed to have knives. There are 12 of these locations, unless you count the 2 in Jason's shack. I wish I could tell you that there are X number of knives in guaranteed locations and X number on cabins, but that doesn't seem to be the case. There's just 22 knives and 33 locations. That means I'll be presenting the footage in a different way. Previously, there was only one missing knife per map, so I'd just walk up and use the honor system and say, you can find one here sometimes too. But now, with 11 locations that won't have knives, I'm going to piece together a walkthrough that shows me pulling out a knife at each location. Just know that when you play, 11 of these spots will be empty. As with Packanack, the plan is to have a set course that I take each time so that you can follow along. I'll start at the covered bridge and work my way around the camp. When there's a knife location I come to without a knife, I'll edit in gameplay of me actually collecting that knife. But since I start with 6 knives, I'll always end up with 28. I'm pretty sure I found them all, but there are a few spots that I'd expect knives to be, and I've never found one there. Lampposts, the one side of the bridge, and a shack by the dock in Stillwater, to name a few. I'd expect knives to spawn in these spots, but as of right now, I'm stating I don't think they do. I'll post an update if any of the information stated here turns out to be false. So let's just get started. This is an enhanced version of the map that I got from Geekboxing. A link to the website where I found these maps is in the description below. My thanks goes out to him for creating them because I could not make these videos without these maps. You can see here that for Higgins A, Jason's shack is on the island, and the power box at Blair's Cove is in the middle cabin. The bridge is a fantastic place to start for this exercise because it has 3 possible knife locations. So after I get the 2 in the shack, the bridge is the first place I morph to. The red circle that you use to select a morph location practically sets you up there anyway. You can get a tad closer, so do that. The Stillwater side of the bridge has 2 locations. Thankfully, this playthrough shows them both. The Blair's Cove side only has 1 to my knowledge, and it's on the right if you're coming from Stillwater. I've never seen one on the left side. I've played games where a knife spawned in the middle of the bridge, but I think that's the small map, so it shouldn't apply here. The next knife is just over to the left. There's a shack that can have a knife by the dock here. There are 3 docks on this map, and although I check the one at Stillwater all the time, I've never found a knife on the lamppost or the shed over there. Alright, so I'm taking my time getting over there, but it's gonna be worth it. See that circle? Alright, that's 6 of the guaranteed locations down. There are 3 more lampposts and Blairs, and we'll get to those in a bit, but we will be getting those knives in conjunction with some cabin knives. Remember, the knives on the structures that appear in every map will always have the potential to have a knife. The cabins change. These places don't. It's much easier to remember these maps if you break it down into pieces. So if you remember the 12 locations that are always there before you start trying to memorize the cabin knife locations, it's going to be a lot easier for you. So now, we wait. This footage is from one of my first playthroughs of this map. I use it because I felt like the fewer edits I'd have to make, the better, but if you're going to do this as a way to memorize the knife locations, and I suggest you do, just morph to the first cabin at Blair's Cove. There's no good reason to walk. The first cabin is Pfeiffer Flat, and if you've seen my other videos, you'd know that there's a knife on the front of the house to the left of the door and one on the inside on the corner behind the chair. Do remember though, these can spawn here. They may not on your playthrough. 11 of the places I will show you will be empty for you. But you'll never find a knife anywhere else in a Pfeiffer Flat on any map, so remember these two locations, and all cabin names. It makes it easier. There's a lamppost outside that can have one too, and next door, the unnamed cabin has a knife behind the half wall. I could have shown footage where I didn't have to chop down the door, but I didn't. So there. Moving on. The third cabin at Blair's has a knife by where the bathroom meets the rest of the cabin. There's also one inside the side door on the wall, but I usually get the one on the lamppost first for some reason. So I'll shift over there to get that, and then chop down another door. Okay, with the door chopped down, all that's left to do is get hung up on the furniture and get the knife on the wall. Perfect. Our next destination is a lamppost on the trail that goes behind all the cabins at Blair's. I've checked the lampposts by the outhouses a ton of times. I've never seen a knife there. I typically shift over to the lamppost to get the knife, but if you have a good enough eye, you can walk most of the way and see if there's a circle or not. That way, you know if you want to use your shift to get to the light or use it to get to the fourth cabin at Blair's. Some people may find this tip useful, but honestly, if you're close enough to see the circle, I usually just walk to it rather than using my shift. Speaking of the fourth cabin at Blair's, that happens to be our next stop. There's one behind the half wall there too. I've checked the cemetery a bunch. I've seen knives up there on the small map, but never on the large and never on map A. So for this walkthrough, my next stop is the dock by Higgins. The lamp at the end of the dock can have a knife. In fact, this one and the next 4 are all guaranteed locations. The main house and the barn are 2 structures that appear on every map, and there's 2 knives on each. The house has these 2 shed-like things, one on the rear of the house and one on the side by the front entrance. Side note, that window right there is an awesome spot to put a bear trap under, as are the stairs right up here. Just saying. Next up, the barn. There are 2 knives there, one on the left door and one on the pole directly behind it. And after we get those, that's it for guaranteed locations. Everything else from here on out will be a cabin knife, and we're going to morph to the Higgins camp area to take care of the 2 cabins up there first. At Higgins camp, my morph spot is to the left of the westernmost cabin. I don't think this cabin has a name, but there's a knife on the bathroom and one on the opposite corner. I like to shift into the corner of the building so it kind of catches me so I don't over or under shift, but I'm actually terrible at shifting. It's something I'm practicing all the time. There's 3 ways to shift in the game, and I'm still learning which one I like the best. But once you get the knife out of this corner, turn around. There's one behind you. This cabin here, I'm going to show you some footage of me walking into it. I swear, in a game I played online one time, there was a knife inside it behind this door. I've never gotten that knife to spawn in the offline bots, and I have no footage of it. I check every single time, and it's never there. It is entirely possible that I'm full of shit. Okay, on to Evergreen. This morph location is important. The first cabin I go to is the bird cage. A knife can spawn on the rear right side of this cabin, and this morph location allows you to see the circle the second you come out of your morph. The next cabin over has a knife on its rear as well, and we're going to shift to it. If the bird cage is empty, you can shift right away. There was some footage of, once again, another example of how terrible I am at shifting. Okay, on to the first cabin with a new name, Norfleet Utopia Retreat. Look out, Zane's Schiff. You've got some stiff competition for my favorite cabin name now. And I know what you're thinking. I should have said Schiff competition. Well, now I did. You're welcome. This cabin has a knife on the front on the right, and if you open the front door, it looks like a layout that we're familiar with, but it's the only cabin I've seen with a knife behind the door on the inside rather than on the corner. I'm actually lucky I found this one. It can be pretty hard to spot if you're rushing through things. See it there? Good stuff. Next door is another large cabin. It's completely unremarkable. We've seen cabins like this a million times, and I wish there was something interesting to say here other than it can have a knife inside the front door and on the bathroom portion. Inside we'll meet Kenny. He's the jerk locking all the doors. He attacks me and I kill him shortly after, and I make the mistake of using one of the knives I collected to do so. I don't show the footage of that, but it's the reason I only end up with 27 knives. Once I get the knife inside, I'll shift to the bathroom, and that about does it for Evergreen Camp. Stillwater is all that's left. Now, I know I told you I check the dock there all the time, but I don't in this playthrough. But again, I've never found a knife over there, so if you do, and it's map A, let me know about it. I feel like a knife should spawn there, but it doesn't. We have ourselves a crumb cabin. There are knives on the front right and behind the right door on the inside. But you knew that because you watch my videos every week. And knife collecting has made you the best Jason ever, and your friends hate you now. But you're not telling them how you got so good or what your secret is. And it shows because my videos have next to no views. We are almost done with this walkthrough. There's only 2 knives left, and they're next door. Sometimes I morph to the car, sometimes I shift over. I don't have a routine for this house, which is strange. I've played this map so many times to collect this footage that you'd think that I'd have it figured out what I want to do here by now. But no, I just want to get the knives and be done by this point. 33 locations is a lot to check, and since 11 are missing, you're constantly thinking something like, I need 4 more and there's only 4 more possible locations. I hope I didn't overlook one. I hope you didn't overlook one either. You should end up with 28 if you start with 6 knives like I do. In any case, the last cabin has knives on the bathroom and on the opposite corner. That's it. Higgins Large A. I only have 27 knives because I knifed the jerk who kept locking the doors and hitting me with a bat. But I hope this video gives you some extra weapons to help you kill that one counselor that seems to be in every match who can't have fun unless they're pissing you off. No one likes that guy. The last thing I want to say here is that I've been having a ton of fun making these videos. And although I originally made that Jabberscotch logo for no good reason, I just thought it was funny, people seem to like it, so I made stickers. If you want one for some reason, all you have to do is comment on this video. I'll reach out to you in a private message, get your address, and I'll mail you one for being a supporter of my channel. It would also be super cool if you hit the thumbs up and subscribed, but I'll send you a sticker either way. And on that note, stay safe out there. Cheers, and happy Friday.